Okay, we'll start. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति। नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्युत्पन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमम् बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम बुद्धं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। स्वाख्यातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटिको अकालिको एहि पस्सिको अपनायको पच्छत्तं वेदितव्यो विष्णुरिति। नमो तस्स नियानिकस्स धम्मस्स। ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्युत्पन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च विदुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम धम्मं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरिसयुगानि अट्टपुरिसपुग्गलम् एषा भगवतो सावकसंगो आहुनैयो बाहुनैयो दक्षिणैयो अञ्जलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यक्षेतं लोकस्याति। नमो तस्स अट्ट अर्यपुग्गला महासंगस्सा। ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्युत्पन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं संघो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं संगं च विदुत्तमम् संज्ञेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम संगं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। विपत्ति पटिवाहाय सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया सब्ब दुःखं विनाशाय सब्ब पायं विनाशाय सब्ब रोगं विनाशाय भवे दीर्घायुकदायक सब्ब लोकं हितत्ताय परित्तन्तं बनामहे समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्ता गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजस्सा शृण्वन्तु सग्गमोक्तदम् धम्मश्रवणकालो अयं वदन्ता धम्मश्रवणकालो अयं वदन्ता परित्तश्रवणकालो अयं वदन्ता। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। कथमञ्च भिक्खवे दुःख निरोधगामिनी पटिपदा अर्य सत्यं अयमेवार्यो अट्टङ्गिको मग्गो संयतिदं सम्मादिट्टि सम्मा संकप्पो सम्मा वाच सम्मा कम्मन्तो सम्मा जीवो सम्मा वायामो सम्मा सति सम्मा समाधि कथमा च भिक्खवे सम्मादिट्ठि यंको भिक्खवे दुःखे ज्ञानं दुःख समुदये ज्ञानं दुःख निरोधे ज्ञानं दुःख निरोधगामिनी या पटिपदाय ज्ञानं अयं उच्यति भिक्खवे सम्मादिट्ठि कथमो च भिक्खवे सम्मा संकप्पो नक्कम्म संकप्पो अव्यापाद संकप्पो अविहिंसा संकप्पो अयं उच्यति भिक्खवे सम्मा संकप्पो कथमा च भिक्खवे सम्मा वाचा मूसावाद वैरमणि पिसुणाय वाचाय वैरमणि परुषाय वाचाय वैरमणि संपप्पलापा वैरमणि अयं उच्यति भिक्खवे सम्मा वाचा कथमो च भिक्खवे सम्मा कम्मन्तो पणाधिपात वैरमणि अदिन्नादान वैरमणि कामेषु मिथ्याचार वैरमणि अयं उच्यति भिक्खवे सम्मा कम्मन्तो कथमो च भिक्कवे सम्मा जीवो इदा भिक्कवे अर्य सावको मिच्छा आजीवं पहाया सम्मा आजीवेन जीवितं कप्पेति अयं उच्यति भिक्कवे सम्मा जीवो कथमो च भिक्कवे सम्मावयामो इदा भिक्कवे भिक्खु अनुपन्नानां पापकानां अकुशलानां धम्मानां अनुपादाय चन्दं जनेति वयमति वीर्यङ्गारवति चित्तं पगण्हाति पदादि उत्पन्नानां पापकानां अकुशलानां धम्मानां पहानाय चन्दं जनेति वायमति वीर्यं आरभति चित्तं पगण्हाति पदहति अनुपन्नानां कुशलानां धम्मानां उपादाय छन्दं जनेति वायमति वीर्यंगारभति चित्तं पगण्हाति पदहति उत्पन्नानां कुशलानां धम्मानां चित्यो असम्मोसाय भियो भावाय विपुलाय भावनाय पारिपूर्या छन्दं जनेति वायमति वीर्यंगारभति चित्तं पगण्हाति पदहति अयं गुच्छति भिक्कवे सम्मावयामो तमा च भिक्कवे सम्मासति इदा भिक्कवे भिक्खु काये कायानुपस्सी विहरति अथापि संपजानो सति मा विनय्य लोके अविज्ञादो मनस्सं वेदनासु वेदनानुपस्सी विहरति अथापि संपजानो सति मा विनय्य लोके अविज्ञादो मनस्सं चित्ते चित्तानुपस्सी विहरति अथापि संपजानो सति मा विनय्य लोके अविज्ञादो मनस्सं गम्येषु गम्मानुपस्सी विहरति अथापि संपजानो सति मा विनय्य लोके अविद्यादो मनस्संगयं उच्यति भिक्कवे सम्मासति कथमो च भिक्कवे सम्मा समाधि इदा भिक्कवे भिक्खु विविच्येव कामे हि विविच्य कुशले हि धम्मे हि सवितक्तं सविचारं विवेकजं प्रीतिसुखं परमं जानन् उपसम्पद्य विहरति वितक्क विचाराणां उपसमाज्यत्तं संपसादनं चेतसो एकोऽपि भावम् अवितक्तं अविचारं समाधिजं प्रीतिसुखं द्वितीयं जानन् उपसम्पद्य विहरति प्रीतिया च विरागा उपेक्षको च विहरति ततो च संपजानो सुखं च कायेन पटिसंवेदेति यंतं हर्या चिक्कन्ति उपेक्षको सतिमा सुखविहारीति ततीयं जानन् उपसम्पद्य विहरति सुखस्य च पहाना दुःखस्य च पहाना पुब्बेव सोमनस्य दोमनस्सानां अट्टंगमा अदुत्तम सुखं उपेक्षा सति पारिशुद्धिं चतुर्थं जानन् उपसम्पद्य विहरति अयं उच्यति भिक्कवे सम्मा समाधि इदं उच्यति भिक्कवे भिक्खु निरोधगामिनी पटिपदा आर्य सत्यं इति अज्जत्तं वादं मे सुधम्मानुपस्सी विहरति बहिद्दा वादं मे सुधम्मानुपस्सी विहरति अज्जत् बहिद्दा वादं मे सुधम्मानुपस्सी विहरति समुदय धम्मानुपस्सी वादं मे सुविहरति वयधम्मानुपस्सी वादं मे सुविहरति समुदय वयधम्मानुपस्सी वादं मे सुविहरति अत्तिधम्माति वापनस्य सति पचु तत्पिता होति यावदेव ज्ञानमत्ताया पठिष्यति मत्ताया अनिश्चितो च विहरति न च किंचिलोके उपादीयति एवं भिक्को भिक्कवे भिक्खु धम्मेषु धम्मानुपस्सी विहरति चतुस्वर्य सत्येषु एतेन सत्यवज्जेन होतु सब्बदा एतेन सत्यवज्जेन होत्नो जय मंगलम् एतेन सत्यवज्जेन पात्नो रतनत्रयम् नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स अविद्यापच्चया संखारा संखारपच्चया विज्ञानं विज्ञानपच्चया नामरूपं नामरूपपच्चया सलायतनं सलायतनपच्चया पस्सो पस्सपच्चया वेदना वेदनापच्चया तन्हा तन्हापच्चया उपादानं उपादानपच्चया भवो भवपच्चया जाति जातिपच्चया जरा मरण शोक परिदेव दुःख दोमनस्सोपायास संभवन्ति एवमेतस्य केवलस्य दुःखखण्डस्य समुदयो होति अविद्यायत्वेव शेष विराग निरोधा संकार निरोधो संकार निरोधा विज्ञान निरोधो विज्ञान निरोधा नाम रूप निरोधा सलायतन निरोधा पस्स निरोधा वेदना निरोधा तन्हा निरोधा उपादान निरोधा भव निरोधा जाति निरोधा जरा मरण शोक परिदेव दुःख दोमनस्य उपायास निरुच्यन्ति एवमेतस्य केवलस्य दुःखकन्दस्य निरोधो होति अनेक जाति संसारं संदाविस्सं गणिपिसं गहकारं गवे संतो दुःख जाति पुनः पुनः गहकारकदिष्टोसि पुनगेहन्नकाहसि सभ्येते पासुका भग्गा गहकूटं विसङ्कटं विसङ्कारगतं चित्तं आनङ्कयमज्जगा एतेन सत्यवज्जेन स्वप्नो होतु सब्बदा एतेन सत्यवज्जेन होत्नो जय मंगलम् एतेन सत्यवज्जेन पात्नो रतनत्रयम् नमो तस्य भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा सद्वितयो विभज्यन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माते भवत्वन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सब्बमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सब्बदेवता सब्बबुद्धानुभावेन सब्बधम्मानुभावेन सब्बसङ्गानुभावेन सदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते विना पुण्याकं विना मामे बालसमागमो सतं समागमो होतु यावनिब्बानपत्या इदं मे पुण्याकर्मम् आसवक्खयं वहं होतु सब्बदुःखापमुच्यतु निब्बानसम्पत्सयो होतु okay. So regarding this chanting, so maybe we can see it a little later, because I can relate today's topic with today's chanting. But the end will be more clear. In the beginning, it may not be so suitable, not be very suitable to explain this chanting, meaning of this chanting. So after this today's topic, that is right view, what is right view, what is middle path, how they are connected, and then what is sustainable development. Sustainable development means like, of course, we require development, we require food, we require clothing, we require physical comforts, which is possible, of course, through a lot of developmental work, lot of what you call progress, the lifestyle, the comforts, physical comforts. What is that's a must up to that. It's very much required. But in addition to that, there is something called sustainable development. The name of comforts, the name of say welfare, physical comforts, destroy everything and and more than required. If you start enjoying in the name of development, in the name of happiness, in the name of comforts, in the name of welfare, then it leads to imbalance and it leads to so many other problems, ecological problems, that are ecological issues, problems that will affect us here and now, and also it will affect after a few days or after a few years. So having that that foresight, that clarity, that vision, that comfort now, comfort in the future, keeping these things in the mind, if you focus on development, if you focus on utilizing using the nature, using the natural resources, utilizing the natural resources in a pragmatic way, in a judicious, pragmatic way, so that it should be comfortable, it should be good now, and also in the future, it should be, say, it should not create any problem for us. Then it becomes sustainable development. So, these things, how they are interrelated, is the right view that we always promote, always discuss. Right view promotion started with an intention of, say, working on the mind, working on the mental happiness. So, with that intention, with that say idea, we started working on this right view. We started designing so many courses, different levels of courses, meditation, mind management, mind development, mind liberation, to derive the mental happiness, the true inner joy. In addition to that, how it has some impact on the body and the health that we have seen. But the same attitude, but the same knowledge, the same view, the right view, it has impact on our lifestyle also. And of course, middle path is one of the components of right view. So both this middle path and right view will have an impact on not only our mind and our health, uh, mind-related health, mind-based physical health. Definitely, it has an impact. In addition to that, it has an impact on our lifestyle also, on our work, on our relation with the people around us, relation with the nature around us, on our relation with the natural resources around us. So there also, this right view, this middle path, this will come to our rescue. This will come to our safety or protection. So in that way, so it has an impact not only on the mind and mind-based physical health, it will have an impact on our work, on our profession, on our policy making, on our say, on our utilization, on our usage of natural resources. All these aspects, this right view and middle path, will have tremendous impact, will have tremendous, say, uh, significance. So if we thoroughly understand and make use of this right view and middle path in our lives, it will not only help us to handle our mind and our physical health, it will help us to handle our activities, handle our the way we look at the nature, we look at the people around us, we look at the resources around us, we look at everything around us that matters. That is the beauty of this right view and middle path. So today, as all of you know, today is the World Environment Day. All over the world, people celebrate this day by doing so many pro-environment, pro-nature activities. This nature conservation activities are, say, environment-friendly activities, eco-friendly activities. All this comes under what is called the sustainable lifestyle, sustainable development. So even this, actually, that sustainable lifestyle, that starts from the mind. If you have right view, you can't destroy the resources around you. You can't destroy the beings around you. At the same time, you can't destroy the resources around you, or you can't imbalance the things around you. Wherever purity should be there, you maintain that purity. Wherever rubbish, garbage should be there, you can use that place for that purpose. That kind of judiciousness, that kind of say, rationality, that kind of pragmatism, that can be developed with right view. Once you develop that kind of pragmatism, kind of rationality with right view, so then automatically the environment around you, it will be very supportive, it will be very sustainable. The resources, the development, using of the resources, these things will become very sustainable. It will make you happy now, here and now, and also it will make you happy hereafter, after some time, after a few years, few months, few years, few decades also. So that same balance, same comfort you will have, and also your progeny, your next generation also they will have. So that is what is called sustainable development. And to achieve that, definitely right view and this middle path will help to a great extent. How that we will see today's comment. See some 25, 26 years back, on this day, on June 5th, I returned back to my native town and I started an organization, keeping this in the mind, how to preserve the nature, how to work on this sustainable development, and how to take up many eco-friendly, pro-environment activities. And that organization I named it as VK, Riksha Center for Afforestation and Revitalization of Environment. Such a big name. So abbreviated becomes VK, caring the nature, caring the environment, caring the people. Is possible by caring the nature. Caring the nature is possible by caring the people. And caring people and nature is the way to care yourself, to care your family, your children, your future, and also yourself. So with that idea, started this weekend on this day, 26 years back. There, of course, all these pro-environment, eco-friendly activities like organic farming, tree-based farming, tree culture, because there is a very beautiful symbiotic relation between the trees and the animals. Let us say trees and the humans. Humans are also animals. There is a beautiful relation, mutual say dependence is there between these trees and the humans. So again, to bring back that kind of mutual dependence, symbiotic relation between the humans and the plants, we started encouraging all kinds of people, all different ages, different kinds, different classes, groups of people to take up tree planting at their capacity, their individual capacity, the capacity of the communities, based on their interest, different plants that they're looking for. So that kind of agriculture, kind of say tree culture, so many things, how to improve the quality of the soil, how to improve the groundwater, how to rejuvenate the rivers, how to rejuvenate the dry belts, the dry zones. So my native town, it was in Mumbai district. So there thousands of acres they were dry, and how to rejuvenate that land, the growing trees, growing different kinds of tree culture techniques. Kolar, Kolar district was considered as a dry district, and thousands of acres because of mining, thousands of acres that became barren. So how to again make it say greenery, again how to bring back eco balance. It was dry district because of no rainfall. How to attract water vapor, the rains, the clouds, and how to get rainfall, how to increase the groundwater, how to safeguard the tanks and reservoirs. All these things started during this day, and and that time my vision was, my view was, my understanding was like universal oneness. All theistic religions, theistic philosophies, almost all, they are based on this kind of universal oneness. That oneness is nothing but God, divinities. We are all part of that divinity. So trees, animals, humans, we are all one. We should take care of each other. And by having that unity, that having that oneness, then everybody will be safe. But to some extent, of course, it works. That's why many religious organizations also, all religions, whether Indian religions or religions from, say, from other countries, from other Asian countries, or even some, say, some tribal religions from all over the world, they worship nature. They safeguard nature, they protect nature in their own ways, with their own visions, with their own ideas, with their own views. So in that way, that kind of divinity perception in the nature, that's okay, that's good, that will also help. Because of that, you can see many places where the holy places are there, worshipping places are there in India. Around that, a lot of forests are safeguarded, are protected, like in Tirupati, let's say, Tirumala, there, a lot of forests are protected because of that spiritual vibes or the religious beliefs. So in the same way, in all other holy places, religious places, they give importance to the plants, the animals, the environment, the ecosystem. uh, that's okay. So even the philosophers, great philosophers, the promoters of universal oneness, universal consciousness, all of them they highlight the importance of trees and eco-friendly activities, herbal medicine, all our ancient medicine also, whether it is Indian ancient medicine, Chinese ancient medicine, mm, all kinds of Egyptian ancient medicine, all kinds of medicines are also rooted in these herbs or the trees, nature, nature cure, all these things somehow that connect with the nature. So thereby preserving the nature. So that kind of aspiration, that kind of understanding has developed among the people because the nature provides us not only uh, the economy, it also provides us health. It also provides us good water, good air, good soil, good food. So everything we get from the nature, medicine, everything we get. So we have to protect the nature, and that is one perspective of the materialistic perspective. We get everything from nature, so we should protect nature. So keeping this materialistic perspective, many materialistic say views, people with the materialistic views, whether it is materialistic capitalism, materialistic communism, communists or atheists or the capitalists, whether they are believers of divinity or God, whether they are theists or atheists, everything, all these people, either for material benefits, for the sake of physical comfort, for the sake of health, they promote preserving the nature, protecting the nature, uh, and thereby they think about sustainable environment, sustainable development, not destroy everything for the sake of getting wealth, getting becoming prosperous overnight. That becomes very dangerous to the nature. That will affect, that will invite a lot of problems like global warming, like say, say soil erosion, floods, famines, all these ecological imbalances because of too much emphasis on development and destroying everything for the sake of quick money, becoming rich overnight, becoming rich within a few months. So that kind of approach may not be good, even for our health also. So to destroy nature, then we may invite a lot of diseases also. A lot of diseases, they say it's again because of destroying the nature. So many diseases. Because when air becomes polluted, soil becomes polluted, water becomes polluted by the destruction of these different natural ecosystems, which safeguard, which protect, which keep these things pure. If the ecosystem is pure, then your air will be pure, your soil will be pure, your water will be pure. So if they are destroyed, if there is imbalance in these four elements, air, water, heat element, soil, earth element, then a lot of infections, lot of diseases we invite. That's what we have seen in our meditations, also different kinds of meditations. If there is imbalance in the four elements of our body, we end up in different health issues. Same thing with the nature also. In the nature also there is one, say, inherent balance of these four elements. So if that is, say, uh, disturbed, that balance is disturbed because of too much destruction of soil or plants, or, yeah, especially it is the trees, then automatically these four elements get balanced and it will create a lot of health issues also. It will invite a lot of diseases also. So with these different perspectives, people are working in safeguarding the nature, in preserving the nature, whether it is theistic perspectives, we're all one and we're all it's all created by the divinity, so that it should protect it, so once it is protected, we too need to protect it. That kind of divine perspective, or this God-centered perspective, or this oneness-centered perspective. So keeping that in view, many people are working and they're safeguarding the nature. And the other perspective, it is pure materialistic perspective, whether it is capitalistic materialism or communistic materialism. So they also somehow thinking and working. So once for all, everything is destroyed. The name of development. Then all these problems are there. Immediately we end up in a lot of health issues, a lot of ecological imbalance will lead to a lot of this kind of ecological problems like global warming, like famine, like floods, soil erosion, and all these things. Degeneration of soil. And then we can't grow the crops. Then it leads to a lot of food scarcity. So all these things, even the materialists are thinking and they are working to safeguard nature. And the spiritualists or the religious people also, because of again understanding the benefits with their perspective, they are safeguarding the nature. So with that perspective, of course, with both these perspectives, I was working, and when we started this VK, and of course, it gave some beautiful results. Then when I started learning about right view and middle path, then I thought of we can bring in this right view and middle path, and then our protection of nature, safeguarding of nature, it will become more authoritative, will much more authoritative. That's what we could realize. Whether it is these two relatively extreme views of these things, the soul-centered or the God-centered or the oneness-centered view, or only the body, materialistic view. So both these views also, it will, to some extent, it will help in safeguarding the nature, and thereby one can think of sustainable development step by step, very pragmatic development. So it should be good now, it should be beneficial now in all aspects, with our physical benefits, mental benefits. At the same time, it should be beneficial in the future for our progeny, for our next generations, future generations, and also for our say safety and both physical and mental safety when we become old. So keeping all these things, people working on this pro nature activity is also good. We can't completely deny it. Definitely, they're working, they work, and it because of that, majority of the people, nearly 99% of the people, more than that, 99.99% of the people, they're working on these two different views, and still they're working to protect the nature. But now we will see how this right view and how this middle path approach that you have learned, and of course it's again it's a journey. You can't say that I'm an expert in right view. You can't say I'm an expert in middle path. It's a journey, the path of absorbing, learning, and assimilating right view. It takes some time, and it keeps on going until you become an arahant. Your learning will go to absorb and understand the right view. Same way, this middle path also. Your learning of middle path keeps on going. It will continue. You go up to the level when you become the mental level, when you become an arahant. In that way, how this journey of right view on the middle path will help you to achieve that sustainable development. That we will see. So with this introduction about sustainable development and how different views are working on this sustainable development, safeguarding the environment, and protecting the balance on this earth with regard to the four elements. When the ecosystem is, like say, it is balanced with the proper balance of the different species, whether it is plant species or animal species, then automatically all these four elements will be balanced. earth, water, fire, and air. So, with different views also, one can achieve the balance in these four elements and balance the ecosystem around them by taking up this sustainable development say, activities, uh, professions, policies, and also say the lifestyle. It will have some impact on the lifestyle. They can't become too greedy when they are working on the sustainable development with whatever view they have. They can't become too greedy, too ambitious, too aggressive, too destructive. They can't become. It's okay to that extent. So other views, the role of other views in safeguarding the environment, in sustainable development, it's okay, that's appreciable. So now this right view and middle path, how it will have an impact on the sustainable development. That we will see. So what is right view? That's what is the sutta that I chanted now. Right view, Buddha says, samadhi. Samadhi is nothing but, as we have seen, dukkha jnana. If you have the knowledge of dukkha, knowledge of the suffering, then the whole life, you have to undergo this oppression, this oppressiveness from the body and the mind, and you have to undergo suffering because of this oppression, oppressiveness, because of the burden of body and mind. That is dukkha jnana. Dukkha samudaya jnana. Dukkha samudaya, how this dukkha arises because of our own attachment. How our own attachment, our own craving leads to this kind of dukkha. The second noble truth. Third noble truth is your dukkha nirodha jnana. How this suffering can be completely annihilated, completely removed. That's what we chanted in another sutra, that is Paticca Samuppada. From ignorance, this craving comes. From craving, all this suffering comes. So when you destroy ignorance, the craving also will be destroyed. When you destroy craving, suffering also will be destroyed. That is the essence of this Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination. Suffering is dependent on craving, craving is dependent on ignorance. Ignorance is dependent on not developing your mind. You're not working on it. You're simply working on some imaginary things like soul or God, or you're working on very, very superficial, very gross things like body. You're not working on the mind. That's why ignorance accumulates, ignorance increases in your mind, and that leads to craving, that leads to suffering. Once you work on the mind, keep working on removing the ignorance, and automatically you start working on removing the craving also, then automatically your suffering also will keep on decreasing. So that is the beauty of this dependent origination, Paticca Samuppada, that we chanted now. And that's what is the Four Noble Truths also, and that's what is right view, Madhiti. So if you have this right view of suffering and the cause of suffering, and how this suffering and even the cause of suffering is also caused by some other thing like your ignorance, and how working not on the mind leads to ignorance, leads to suffering, leads to craving. That understanding is the right view. Understanding the Four Noble Truths, understanding this Paticca Samuppada, dependent origination. So these things and understanding everything is cause and effect. For whatever cause, whatever effect you will get, that understanding, all these different kinds of in-depth realities, in-depth knowledge about suffering and happiness. That is what is right view. So mainly this right view, these Four Noble Truths and this dependent origination and this law of cause and effect, these things are highlighted or told in this right view. And of course, one should work on the mind, as I just now mentioned. One should work on the mind to go deeper and deeper to experience this right view. to assimilate this right view, experience it, and internalize this, and becoming part of this right view. That's what is the goal of uh, all the followers of Buddha. That is what is buddhi. Buddhi means to understand this right view, understand these four noble truths, and then experience them through meditation, mindfulness, meditation, stillness of the mind, insights of the mind, and then completely liberate, getting complete liberation. That is what is the very purpose of this goal, purpose of this path also. And that is what is right. You keep progressing in the right view, then you keep progressing in achieving that liberation, achieving that enlightenment, liberation. So that way, when you start working on this right view, then automatically you understand it's my own defilements that leads to my craving and suffering. My defilements is my ignorance. Ignorance is the sum total of all my defilements. Like if I'm generating anger, I'm generating hatred, anger, greed, jealousy, and then confusion, tension, stress, then I am ignorant. When you start understanding this, when you start realizing this, because of my attachment, all these things I'm developing, because of my ignorance, attachment, and craving, all these things are getting developed. And when you learn how to reduce these things, defilements, how to handle these things, how to catch hold of them, how to keep on destroying them, leads to happiness. If that understanding if you get, then you are progressing in right view. With all the understanding of four noble truths, with all the understanding of dependent origination, which is with all the understanding of this law of cause and effect, the giver will get whatever you give, that you will get back. If you give hatred, you will get back hatred. If you give love, you will get back the love. If you give wisdom, you will get back the wisdom. That way, everything. So, how this law of cause and effect. So that understanding, if you keep on developing, you are progressing in the right way. So these things are dealt in detail in our courses also, L1, L2, L3, L4. In all these courses, you will keep developing in this right view, keep progressing, establishing in this right view. And as I told you, there is no end for it. But once you start working on this right, then automatically you realize that if I keep simply destroying the nature out of my greed, out of my ambition, out of my unsatisfactoriness, then automatically I will become more miserable. I will simply imagining that by accumulating a lot of things, by destroying the nature, I will become happy. That's only the imagination. That's only my illusion. So that will not give me the real happiness. That clarity you will start getting. So in that way, the right view, understanding right view, will make you to step back. It will stop you to become, say, quite say simple, quite modest, quite say sensitive, become quite sensitive about others' feelings, about other life, about uh, about say your own greed, your own defilements will become quite sensitive. About your own happiness, your own suffering, you become sensitive. Such a sensitive person become a balanced person. Such a balanced person, he can't become quite say wretched, quite say, aggressive, quite destructive. He can't become destructive, quite aggressive, quite ambitious. He can't become, and he automatically he will give ample say, scope and importance and to everything, to the trees, to the insects, to the animals, to the everything, to the microbes, to the soil, to the air. That kind of sensitivity one will develop to this right view. And that kind of right view is more authoritative than your other views, your oneness views, your divine views, your materialistic views. So this kind of my own mind will be affected, my own body will be affected. I end up in suffering by indulging in this kind of destructive activities, ambitious activities. So that kind of sensitivity if you develop through this right view, then definitely you safeguard, you protect the nature around you, the resources around you, not only the beings, not only the life around you. You know that life is dependent on nature. So then you start protecting and safeguarding the nature also, because nature supports life. Life supports this life also. Everything is related. So that kind of sensitivity we will develop. An authoritative sensitivity we will develop if you progress in this right view. Then what is this middle path, and how this understanding of middle path will help you to establish, say, in becoming more, say, uh, more again more sensitive, more pragmatic, more balanced, more skillful. So that also we will see. So what is this middle path? Of course, again in this samadhi, this right view, Buddha explains the fourth noble truth is all about middle path. The noble eightfold path is nothing but middle path. The Buddha talks about dukkha jnana. There is suffering when you carry this body and mind. Is suffering. So if skillfully you handle this body and mind and the other things that is protecting the body and mind in a very sensitive, balanced way, so that you will not end up in more suffering. So that is dukkha jnana, the first noble truth. The second noble truth is the craving is the cause of suffering. The more you are attached, the more you become say miserable. You have to face more suffering with more craving. And the opposite is the third noble truth: less craving, less suffering. Keep on working on your craving. Keep on understanding how the craving arises with ignorance, with so many other defilements, and try to fix your craving very authoritatively. Then you are fixing your suffering also. You are reducing your suffering. That is the third noble truth. And the fourth noble truth: what is that path? What is that authoritative right path that you should take to fix this craving and suffering? That is the fourth noble truth. No? So that is called the noble eightfold path. And all these 8 links or the 8 steps of this noble eightfold path, it will teach us the moderation, the middle path, the mind-centeredness, the morality, all these yum you can keep in your mind. The morality also is very much say included in this noble eightfold path. So maybe for 5 minutes I'll explain this noble eightfold path, which is a middle path. So this morality is embedded in this noble eightfold path, so that you achieve moderation, so that you work on your mind, so that you will reduce the defilements in your mind. You will become mind-centered. You will not fall into the extremes of soul and God and killing and destroying and becoming blind, becoming fanatic in the name of God and soul. And the comfort of the future, thinking those things, people are becoming so blind, so fanatic, so destructive, so say so insensitive, at least. And again, in the name of materialism, material comforts, people are so insensitive, they keep destroying. You emphasize so much on these either material comforts or the spiritual comforts, the soul-centered comforts. You emphasize too much on these things, then there is a possibility, a higher possibility of say destroying the nature, higher possibility of destroying the nature or destroying the life. Too much emphasis, it becomes extreme. If it is moderately okay, then you start protecting the nature, start protecting the people around you, start protecting the resources. If it is moderately okay, so these other views. But these other views, if they become too extreme, body-centered view or this soul-centered view or the spirit-centered view, if it becomes too extreme, then that insensitivity will come, then the destructive mind will come, then the self-centeredness will come, then the ignorance will become, it multiplies, it accumulate more layers. So that is the problem of these other extreme views. But this is right view is the moderate view, is the mind-centered view. That's why it's called the middle path approach. So because it is mind-centered, you try to handle the defilements of the mind in a very skillful way. That's why it is called middle path. Many people, again, many wise people also, they have misunderstood middle path. They say going in the middle, being scared of anything that is away from the middle is middle path. In that way, many people they conclude. That's very wrong. That's not middle path. Middle path is the art of balancing so that your mind will not be disturbed. Your mind will keep in balance. Your mind will be in that equanimity, that stability. That is what is middle path. Middle path is not going in the road, always in the middle. So the vehicles from the other side also and the vehicles from this side also, they will hit you if you always go in the middle. So that is not middle path. When there are more vehicles from the right side, you have to turn, take left. If there are more vehicles from the left side, then you have to take little right. So that kind of balancing is actually the middle path approach. When there is a valley in the right side, then you have to take left side. When there is a hill in the left side, then you have to take little right side. That kind of balancing, so that your mind will not be completely carried away in some extremity, some kind of say disaster, some kind of dullness and ignorance, some kind of insensitivity. That should not happen, and that is what is middle path. Middle path is art of balancing the things so that mind will remain equipoise. The mind will remain that equanimity. Equanimity is the result of middle path. Is the beginning of middle path. Is the path of this middle path or moderation or mind centeredness, and that is the end of middle path also. Establishing the mind in that equanimity, in that balance. So many people again they interpret middle path and they try to condemn Buddha's middle path. Some extreme people, extremist ideas, people with extreme ideas. Blindly you should follow, blindly you should jump into some conclusion and follow some higher authority. You have fear, that's why you are in the middle path. Out of fear only you are avoiding the extremes. In that way they conclude the middle path. Fear, there are again two kinds of fear. There is one kind of moral fear where your insight will say this is dangerous, then you should have fear for that. You can't be blind. You can't be like this firefly. Out of carelessness, out of fearlessness, not going and jumping and falling into the fire. That is not sensitivity. That is not wisdom. That should be your confidence and courage. There should be wisdom and there should be some sensitivity also, skillfulness also. Out of overconfidence, over belief, over faith. The faith in this materialism also, about body and the life is just four elements. Why should we bother so much about this? Everything will go away at the end of the life. So do something without bothering about this right view aspects like the four noble truths, like the tit for tat, this law of cause and effect, action and reaction. All these things, nothing to worry much. There is nothing like morality. So do everything whatever you want and just see the humanity, forget about morality. That many people they try to attack this morality, try to attack this mind-centeredness, middle path, moderation, by saying that this timidity, this is weakness, this is selfishness. Also, they say this is self-centeredness. Who is not selfish? Every being, every life, every creature in this world is selfish. But selfishness, if it's very, very deep and very, very powerful, then such a person will work on the mind because he knows everything will arise from the mind. Happiness and suffering will arise from the mind. So he will start understanding the mind, controlling the defilements of the mind, controlling the emotions. Uncontrolled the compulsiveness of the mind, he will start working on, he will start understanding, he will start controlling it, he will start taming it. And that is what is moderation, that is what is middle path, that is what is mindfulness, that is what is, say, mind centeredness. So mindfulness, morality, moderation, mind centeredness, all these things come under middle path. And of course, middle path is one of the components of this uh, right view. That's why I have connected right view, then middle path. Middle path is one of the subsets of right view. And sustainable development is one of the subsets of middle path. Just like in a hydraulic system, you can see one can go into the other system, the other system can go into one more thing in a uh, very comfortably and very that authoritatively, passively, one can go inside the other, like subsets, let us say, or like say, so in the world, there are so many countries, so many continents. So in those continents, there are nations, there are countries, there are nations. The nations, there are provinces or states. The same way, this right view, there is middle path. In the middle path, there is sustainable lifestyle. There is of pro-nature temperament, pro-nature mentality, or the holistic mentality. Is one of the subsets of middle path. And the middle path is the subset of the right view. Very authoritative. There is a greater risk of falling into the extremities and becoming insensitive in the other views, like the atheistic view or the theistic views, which are not the right views, which are not the mind-centered views. They are either body-centered views or the soul-centered or some kind of about the future. The worry is about the future. That's why that kind of soul-centeredness, God-centeredness, or some kind of say comfort, soothing oneself. Let's say something superior, just like children. Children, small kids, when they feel that there is my father, there is my mother, then they feel very comfortable. That soothing, that comfort they can experience. The same way, this kind of soul-centered or theistic views, they are because this majority of the people are like small children only in this world. For them, some soothing, some comfort is required. So they have to depend on that kind of God-centered or soul-centered views. Because of that kind of soothing and comfort, to some extent, they may look for sustainable development, pro-nature, temperament. But when that kind of soothing, if it is too blind and then they get some opportunity, then they become ambitious, then they become insensitive. That is very much possible. But you can see in the present day, so many religious conflicts everywhere. It's because of this kind of dullness, this kind of insensitivity only people indulge in religious conflicts. And the religious conflicts will definitely lead to ecological conflicts also. The conflict, that separation, that kind of rigidity in the mind, it will percolate in all aspects of life. The rigidness is there, the insensitivity is there in the mind because of these extreme views. That will percolate into all aspects of our life. Then we start fighting in the name of my religion, my God, other, and that will again trickle down to my nation, other nation, my region, other region, my language, other language, my culture, other culture, my family, other, me, others. Trickle down to all this individual selfishness. In that way, these extreme views are not mind centered, which are either soul centered or body centered. They definitely are not so authoritative in getting this pro nature temperament, eco friendly temperament, will not be so authoritative. So, because of this right view, you start establishing this middle path. The middle path is nothing but the Noble Eightfold Path, as I told you. Noble Eightfold Path, first one is again Samadhi. Samadhi is in right view, is in middle path is in right. That's the beauty of Buddha's explanation of this Noble Eightfold Path and the right view. Noble Eightfold Path is one of the components of right view. So, and in the Noble Eightfold, the very first one itself is right view. So, one is but in the other one is inside the first one. In that way, they are mutually supportive, middle path and right view. So, as I was telling you, right view you have understood. Then the right, after right view, there is something called right thoughts, right intentions, Samma Sankappa. Samma Sankappa also, these things only are highlighted, becoming simple, becoming Nakama Sankappa, Avihimsa Sankappa, Vyapada Sankappa. That means becoming as simple as possible, as generous as possible, as loving as possible, as caring as possible, as sensitive as possible in your thoughts. That is what is your Samma Sankappa. You should be energetic, you should be very, very dynamic with an idea of how best I can give, how best I can balance. So, with that idea, with that kind of thought, that kind of ideas, if you are working, if you are leading your lifestyle, if you are leading your life, then you have those right thoughts. Because all these things I explain in our different levels. So, then the third aspect of this Noble Eightfold Path or in this middle path, that is your right actions, right speech. Sorry. Right speech also, again, it is like controlling your mind, becoming more, say, judicious in your speech, more sensitive in your speech, more balanced in your speech. Because truthfulness, kind speech, all these things come under this balanced speech only. So, and again, this third aspect of this Noble Eightfold Path is also is all about balancing the speech with moderation, with mind control, with understanding how the mind becomes mind becomes crazy if it is uncontrolled, with a lot of cravings, how the cravings and the desires will multiply if it is not understood and controlled. That's what is the learning in all these 8 limbs of this middle path or the Noble Eightfold Path. Either it is in right view, Samadhi, the first one, Samma Sankappa in the right thoughts also, that's what is embedded, that's what is ingrained. The art of balancing is ingrained in your thoughts. In your views, again, the art of balancing is ingrained. The mind-centered view. In your thoughts, the mind-centered or handling the mind, that's what is ingrained. That's Samma Sankappa. Second step. Third step, Samma Vacha also. You have to balance your speech skillfully, kindfully, compassionately, truthfully, how to balance the speech. That is what is the third step or the third link of this Noble Eightfold Path, which is nothing but the middle path. And the fourth one is right actions, not just in your thoughts, in your views, in your thoughts, in your speech, your actions also, how you should be skillful, how you should be balanced, how you should balance you and others, so that your mind will not be still disturbed, your mind will not be corrupted, your mind will not develop more and more impurities. That's what is the essence, that's what is the very purpose of this right actions. Not to kill, not to steal, not to indulge in sexual misconduct. These things will protect your mind actually. First, it will help in protecting your mind from the defilements, from the greed, from the hatred, from the delusion. It will protect your mind, and then automatically your body and your life will be protected. That's what is the right action. The fourth one, the Samma Kammanto. Then Samma Ajivu. Samma Ajivu is your livelihood. Everyday actions depend upon your livelihood. Your regular actions depend on your livelihood. Your livelihood is of some kind of imbalance by killing others, by harming others, by affecting the others' minds, like selling intoxicants and all these things. they come under this wrong livelihood. So if you don't do that, then automatically your mind will not be affected. Your mind will be in balance. It's all about balance. The path is all about balance. Balance is for what? Balance is to establish that sensitivity and stability in your mind. That purity, sensitivity, and stability in your mind is established. That's where you derive the true happiness. That's what is the way to come out of suffering and craving and to achieve the happiness, true happiness. That kind of mind-centered, true happiness focused, true happiness based path, which contains these 8 things. So that's what is the middle path. So in all these aspects of moderation, that balancing, that handling the negativities of the mind so that you can achieve the stillness of the mind, calmness of the mind, the purity of the mind, so that from the purity, from the calmness and stability of the mind, from the equanimity of the mind only, all other realities you can discover, whether it is dependent origination, whether it is form about everything will come, everything you will experience with that calmness and the equanimity of the mind only. So you have to go through all these 8 limbs, 8 steps of middle path to achieve that equanimity, so that you can experience the authoritative, superior happiness in a very step-by-step authoritative way. That way, even in the right livelihood, the 5th aspect also, it's all about balancing, it's all about stabilizing the mind, it's all about sensitizing and purifying the mind. If that is your focus, if that is your intention, then you will not become so wretched and so reckless in your activities, destroying the nature. Simply becoming greedy and start say, trying to get more and more from the nature by destroying and by creating the imbalance in the nature. You don't want to create imbalance in your mind. That kind of clarity you will get when you establish in this middle path. And because of that clarity, you will not try to imbalance the nature. You will not try to imbalance the ecosystem around you, the people around you, the ecosystem around you. You know that that imbalance will influence my imbalance in the mind. And then I will not be happy. That kind of pragmatism, that kind of smartness, that kind of skillfulness one will develop. Once a person understands the beauty of right view, beauty of middle path, then he will not dare to simply destroy or to become greedy and ambitious, try to exploit the nature, exploit the resources, and thereby it will affect the sustainable lifestyle. The future availability of the resources will be affected if it becomes more exploitative. Start exploiting the nature ruthlessly, recklessly. That is the beauty of this sensitivity that we develop because of right view and because of middle path. Middle path includes this moderation, this morality, this mind-centeredness, mindfulness. More than that, always try to remain mindful, because that's where by becoming mindful only, I am aware. I will be aware of what is good and what is bad for me in the mind, in my thoughts, in my actions, in my speech. Everywhere I will remain quite alert if I am mindful to avoid anything that causes suffering to me, and to cultivate anything that increases my happiness. That kind of alertness you will get with this mindfulness. That kind of right efforts you will get. And that's what is the 6th step in this Noble Eightfold Path, that is called Samma Vayama. The Samma Vayama, that's what that kind of alertness you will get, what to keep away, because that causes suffering for me, and what is there already in my mind that is creating suffering for me, that you start removing it from the mind. In your mind you start removing. So once you start removing from the mind and start avoiding such kind of negative influencing or suffering influencing things from the mind, then you are doing the right efforts to protect your mind. And again, you start developing what is beneficial for me. You start preserving what is already there in your mind that is beneficial for you. That kind of four actions, mental actions you take up in this right efforts. There are four right efforts. Samapadana. Start avoiding it creates problem for you. You start removing and taking out what is creating problem for you. You start cultivating that is beneficial for you. You start preserving and protecting what is already there, which is helping you. So this kind of four actions you take up in this right efforts. And that comes with this alertness. You're alert and effortful, then you can do these things. Once you develop this kind of alertness and effortfulness, then automatically you will become the seventh step will follow. What is that seventh step in this middle path, this Noble Eightfold Path? Samasati. You will become mindful in your movement, about your body, about your subtle body, about your gross body also will become very, very conscious about your subtle body. Subtle body means the sensations. About the subtle body also you will be quite conscious. And then about your gross mind, that is Chittanupasana. About your gross mind, gross thoughts also will become alert and mindful. And about the subtle mind also, the pure things of the mind, subtle things of the mind also will become alert and mindful. And that's what is the four kinds of Satipatthana. Establishing in the mindfulness is possible by establishing, by being alert, by being mindful of the gross body, of the subtle body, of the gross mind, of the subtle pure mind. These things you are aware, if you are conscious, then you are establishing in this seventh limb, seventh aspect of this middle path, the Noble Eightfold Path, that is Samasati. And that will make you more balanced, more stable, more sensitive, and that will make you more established in the core of your mind. That is what is Samma Samadhi. In all these steps, you are progressively achieving that equanimity, that stability, that stillness, that balance. You are achieving in all these 8 steps of Noble Eightfold Path, of this middle path. So, because this balance is your focus, balance is your goal, this equanimity is your focus, equanimity is your goal, then how you can able to create imbalance in the nature around you, the ecosystem that is there, that where you are, in which you are. You can't create imbalance around you. That is what is say sustainable development. The person is interested in co-environment activity, sustainable development. He should definitely work. He will see that, he will realize that the imbalance in the environment will create an imbalance in the mind. Imbalance in the mind will create imbalance in the environment. Other thing is also equally true. So if I want to create balance in my mind, I should not create imbalance in the nature. So with that understanding, with that perspective, you will start taking care of the balance in the environment where he is. And that kind of temperament, that kind of attitude will definitely help him to achieve that sustainable development. So in that way, all these 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, it's about balance. It's about stability. It's about sustainability. Sustainability in the body and mind, if you want to achieve. Sustainability in the mind, if you want to achieve. By balancing the mind, then automatically it will create sustainability in the body also. Sustainable health, sustainable balancing the body and mind you can achieve. And then automatically the sustainability you can achieve between you and the people around you, you and the other beings around you, you and the other resources around you. All these things can achieve balance and sustainability. That is the beauty of right view. That is the power of right view. That is the power of middle path to achieve that sustainability. At the same time, in the name of say achieving mental stability and equanimity, you can't completely ignore the physical comforts also. Development is also required. Physical comforts are also required. Majority of the people, it is 99% of the people, there's a lot of struggle for the livelihood. Not maybe 99, at least let us say all over the world, some 75% of the people struggle for their livelihood. So even just for basic things, basic needs of the physical body, physical comforts, shelters, food, medicines, basic amenities in the life, definitely a lot of work, lot of say, skills one has to use to achieve it. That's what is development. One should definitely work for the development. But too much emphasis on the sustainability also, there are some examples. Just like too much emphasis on development leads to a lot of destruction, a lot of imbalance in the nature. Sometimes the opposite is true. It's also working in the world. Like too much emphasis on sustainability leads to a lot of problems physically that you can see in some tribal cultures. There's too much on say sustainability sometimes. Then they end up in a lot of say they'll be deprived of a lot of this healthcare, a lot of nutrition also sometimes, medicines also like accommodation, basic amenities like housing, so many things. The name of sustainability, there are some examples. The name of preserving the nature, they end up in a lot of hardships. I heard sometime back, maybe not 2 days back, one of the reasons, may not be a major reason, one of the reasons why the present problem in Sri Lanka, the complete collapse of the economy and system there in Sri Lanka. One of the reasons is there too much emphasis on organic farm. Actual too much emphasis. The policy also they didn't encourage say food production, not encourage self-reliance in the food. The food production, they did not encourage too much emphasis on organic farming. In that way, if you completely ignore development in the name of sustainability, in the name of balance, then it is not balanced. It is not sustainable. To give sufficient importance to the physical comforts, also there also the mind should be used to protect the body, to preserve the health of the body, the health of the people around you, the dependents around, your dependents, like your family members. In that way, that kind of striking the balance between the physical comforts and comforts of the mind, in the body and mind, and also the individual and the people around him, people and the ecosystem, people and the other creatures, other animals, plants, resources around him. That kind of balance we want to achieve. So this right view and middle path is the more authority than other wrong views and other extreme paths. Extreme paths of theistic paths or atheistic paths. So better than those, the right view, the middle path is more authoritative because it's all about balancing. It's all about balancing at individual level for one person. For me, taking one meal may be good, sufficient enough. But for a person who is taking 6 meals a day, so asking him to take 1 meal a day is cruelty. It's nonsense. It's cruelty. The middle path for him is to take 5 meals, to take 4 meals in a day. Slowly, just try to balance your inputs and outputs. So in that way, middle path is again the individualistic. If one keeps working on this middle path according to his abilities and where he is, according to his temperament, his abilities, then automatically he can strike that balance between he and the people around him, between the people and the nature around him. And that is the most authoritative way of protecting the nature. That is the most authoritative way of development and sustainable development. In that way, uh, understand the beauty of this right view and middle paths, not only for your spiritual benefits, health benefits, in handling stress, in handling so many psychological issues, psychosomatic issues, will also help in handling a lot of ecological issues. So that is about the role of right view and middle path in sustainable development. Many political leaders, like I remember this Donald Trump used to say, nothing like global warming and this ozone problem and all these things are created by these scientists. So if you are too much materialistic and so-called welfare-oriented, development-oriented people, they ignore these ecological issues. That is out of greed and ignorance and ambition. Worldly materialistic ambition will make them blind, will make them stupid, ignorant. And of course, that is there in both capitalistic materialism and also in communist materialism. But, luckily, in this middle land, that is where these Buddhas arise, where these true spiritualism arises. In such lands, always the middle lands, the middle paths will be appreciated, the middle paths will be followed, where the middle paths are followed. This automatically the sustainable lifestyle becomes, it will become automatic. It will be ingrained in their culture, in their attitude, in their economy, everywhere it is almost ingrained. That's where we should look into. And this kind of right view and middle path, it is properly understood and developed, right? Then that automatic embracing, automatic adoption of sustainable lifestyle, it becomes very much conspicuous. It will happen. It will happen automatically. Reason why, understand, keep progressing in this right view and middle path, then the lifestyle also becomes more sustainable. Your development say goals also become more sustainable. Whether you are a ordinary citizen, a policy maker, or whatever may be your profession, this kind of right view and middle path will definitely help you to establish right development. That is nothing but a sustainable development, if you want to say. That is what is message on this World Environment Day. Sustainability comes from right view. That is the key statement of this today's talk. So with that, we'll conclude. If you have any questions, ask. Then we can close. Any questions?
Vandame Bantiji.
Yes.
There are two questions. One, Vijay Ranpise sir is asking, is morality connected with right view? Please explain. And what is the spirituality? What is spirituality?
Okay, now whether morality is connected to right view? Yeah, of course. See, all these not to kill, not to indulge in sexual misconduct, not to steal. So these things, you see, why we are practicing these so-called moral precepts, which is nothing but the right action. Samma, kammanto, it comes under middle path. Middle path comes under right view. So as I was telling you, so right view, purpose of right view is to handle the mind and purify the mind. Understand the true happiness, that by removing the defilements of the mind, you will get the true happiness. So that understanding is right view. So to achieve that purification of the mind, then you have to follow these 8 steps of middle path, 8 steps of this noble eightfold path. So there, this morality also comes. In right actions, morality is there. In right speech, morality is there. In right livelihood, morality is there. The visible morality is there. These things. So like in the right speech, don't speak lies. Don't speak harshly. Don't keep balance. Keep kindness. Keep truthfulness in your speech. So once you are working on balancing the mind, keeping the mind stable and with this truthfulness and with this compassion, with this skillfulness, with this compassion based on truth and wisdom, because based on truth and this kindness, then automatically your mind will be balanced. You can't become say very cruel in your words. Then you can't become very hateful in your thoughts, and your mind will be more balanced, more pure. So in that way, your speech, your right speech, which comes again in this middle path, which is nothing but your morality only, right speech. So it will make you to again to balance your mind. So that is the very purpose of right view. That mind centeredness, making the mind balanced, keeping the defilements of the mind as less as possible, curbing them, making them zero, annihilating them. That is what is the purpose of right view. So to achieve that, what you are doing, you are practicing these moral precepts. You are practicing this morality in speech, morality in action, morality in livelihood. Plus, this morality will help you to have harmony between you and others, to take care of, to protect others around you, to protect the nature also around you, to protect the people and to get in their confidence and to have some harmonious relation between you. And more than that, it will help you to purify your own mind, to stabilize your own mind, balance your own mind. So that is what is right. In that way, morality is related to the three aspects of morality, like your right actions, right speech, and right livelihood, which are very much visible. That is there in the middle path, that is the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is the part of right view. That way, morality and right view are connected. Okay, next question.
Another question is from Aniruddha sir.
Yeah, I can read this. I'm not expecting Pranam Bandeji, does equanimity involve focusing on process and not expecting result? This seems contradictory because somewhere we do expect results with an understanding will come, and it is also said that one must have awareness where is one's action leads to, and unconsciously we do expect results. So here the question is, so whether equanimity involve focusing on process and not expecting results. This seems contradictory for you. Don't make this general statements. It is problem with you. There is no problem with that truth. When you focus completely on your process, though in the beginning you may be having a thought about your reach, where you want to reach the end, but once you plunge into process, plunge into action, then you forget about your goal. I always, not always, sometimes I used to give the example of, you want to go to Delhi or you want to go to, let us say, yeah, Delhi. Then you forget about it. Then you start plunging into the action. You are start procuring so many things that are required for the journey. You start traveling. So in that way, you start completely involving in the process. We always keep thinking about Delhi, 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 and you won't sit there in your home. So that when you are in the action, then the mind becomes, say, it will come to the present moment. Thinking about the future will automatically stop. Person who is progressing in this presence of mind, so he is progressing in this Noble Eightfold Path. The right view, then again it percolate into the thoughts, the right thoughts will percolate into the speech it will percolate into the actions and livelihood and in efforts and in mindfulness, meditation. Always you will remain absolutely in the present moment. And that absoluteness in the present moment, if it goes deep and deep in the process, then automatically that person, if he is a spiritual person, he will get the success of what is called the liberation or nibbana, because it's the absolute present moment. Even the worldly success is in the absolute present moment. The greatest decisions come from the person who is absolutely involved in the process. not much carried away by the results, by the end results. The more you are directly, authoritatively involved in the process, the more you will become successful, either in spirituality to achieve mental stability, mental equanimity, mental concentrations, absorptions, insights, liberation, or in the worldly things, whether to get the superior decisions, smart decisions from your own mind, from that still mind, from that short mind, from that pure mind, from that mind which is completely involved in the process. So from that kind of mind only, from that kind of stabilized mind, equanimous mind only, the beautiful ideas. Process doesn't mean that working like a donkey hard work. Process means how much heart and soul and your interest and your presence of mind, your efforts you have put in that particular action that you are doing. That is what is the karma. That is what is the true, say, involvement in the action. It is not like half-heartedness, 1 second thinking that to do it, 1 second doing, 1 second again thinking. That kind of half-heartedness comes because if the person is too much, say, thinking about the goal, thinking about the end results. Once fixing the result or the goal, he will forget about it and he will start enjoying the process. Enjoy completely, he starts giving himself to the process. He is a warrior, he is a true worker. In a war also, in a battlefield also, a true warrior, his goal is to win. But simply he is dreaming about win and somebody will come and will shoot him or will kill him. He should show his skillfulness in handling his weapons, in handling his enemies. Each and every microsecond he should feel. He should completely involved in that. He should completely put his heart and soul into it. At that time, he can't think about his winning, his celebration. He can't think about the winning and celebration when he is fighting, when he is waging war with his enemies. The same thing with the work. In that way, process involving in the action is correct. It will definitely help you to establish the economy. That is what is karma yoga and other say religions they talk about. Completely involving but not expecting the results. Once when you start, of course, you start with some goal, and with that goal, what will be the gain that you are going to get? That is very clear in your mind, and then you find out what is the need of again and again thinking about it. Just like the example I told about this battlefield. That is where the beauty of mindfulness comes. That's where the beauty of this Ikipada, Chanda, Virya, everything that you people are learning, it comes. That's where your for Brahma Viharas come. When you're working, you have to use this Brahma. When you're working, you have to use this Chanda, Virya, these things, Ikipada. When you're working, you should use this mindfulness. Completely giving your senses to what you are doing. That is what is awareness techniques, mindfulness techniques. That way, all these things, what you have learned and what you are learning, whether it's right view, whether it's right to techniques, right to confidence, right to feelings, emotions, right to meditations, everywhere you are learning how to completely give up yourself to the present moment. If you don't understand these things, then only all this nonsense about the future results will simply keep troubling you, keep disturbing you, and comparing with others, and again thinking about your future, their end result, your end result, their goals, your goals. All this nonsense will come when you people don't understand these different ways and means to plunge into the present action or present meditation or present the ability to still your mind in the present moment. That comes with all these techniques. And when you are into this, you are learning these techniques, when you are into this present moment, and where is this thoughts about, where is this imagination, thinking about the future and the results? Again, one more question. Good morning, Bantaji. Of the 5 aggregates, body will be destroyed naturally, but the other four aggregates have to be destroyed by our own efforts. And is it correct? Exactly correct. Who is this questioner?
The name is Chandrasekhar.
Sorry.
The name is Chandrasekhar.
Okay. So yes. Because that's why that's what we are learning mind-centeredness. Mind is nothing but four aggregates. The mind only four aggregates. You have to handle them, you have to purify them, you have to fill them, you have to fix the activities of these four defilements of the mind. Then automatically, when the mind becomes free from all these defilements and the aggregates automatically, if they wither off, then body also will wither off. Body will, one aggregate is body, yeah, body aggregate will wither off, but it will not end there. If the mind is there, mind will take one more body. It's a temporary end of these four aggregates. This one aggregate, that is body, is temporary end. The death is the temporary end of the body. The mind is not annihilated. Then that mind, that active mind, it will take one more body. That's why working on the mind, annihilating the mind, it not only annihilates the mind, it not only removes the mind or completely makes the mind zero. Once the mind becomes zero, body also will become zero. It will not, that kind of annihilated mind will not take any other body. That is the ultimate end of the body, and that is what is Nibbana. Temporary end, the form of death in this life, that is possible for this one aggregate. But finally, it is the ultimate end of the mind only will lead to the ultimate end of the body. That way, you can say working on the mind, working on the four aggregates of the mind is the only authoritative way to stop the body aggregate also. That is the only final and authoritative way of fixing this body aggregate. Okay, that is the answer to. Any other question?
No other question, Bhanteji.
Okay, so to just understand the importance of right view and middle path in not only taking care of your mind, your body, annihilating your mind and your body in the process of living, in the process of carrying this journey of this life. This life, your body, your mind is very much there. And during this life also you have to interact with so many people around you. You have to interact with the ecosystem that is around you, with the resources that is around you. There also is the role of balancing comes. There also the role of say moderation comes. So to achieve that kind of sustainable lifestyle, so that we can protect the nature, environment more authoritatively. At the same time, you develop not only you protect the nature, if you too will grow. When you are in harmony with nature, your growth is more authoritative, more perfect. That understanding I want you people to have from this talk. So with that, we will conclude. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te sukhi bhaveyan nidduko aham nitya aham viya vidachame sukhi huntu majjata chatavedino imam nigammante dhamme sattahontu sukhi sada atho paramcharajyesu chakkavalesu jantanam sadhu 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 sukhi huntu.